Welcome back to Out of the Rough. I'm here with author Robert Patrick Lewis, and you wrote several books, right?
Yeah, number 2 right now. I'm working on number 3, so I got 3 series that'll be coming out soon.
And let's talk about the Pact. The Pact that you formed with your fellow soldiers.
Yeah, I mean, it's named that because it's actually based on a real pact that we made up between ourselves a couple years ago.
And tell me about the Pact and how is that relevant, and how there are other pacts in this country, aren't there?
Oh yeah, of course. This one is mainly between the guys on my old ODA and I and a couple of our other buddies. We essentially, kind of got together one night after we'd all got back from our last trip to Iraq. And we saw things going on around the world. I knew I was moving out to California. Other friends were moving to other places. We've all been on the giving in, other sides of missions and invasions and things like that. So we just knew it should be better safe than sorry. So we got together and made some plans for what would happen if certain protocols went into motion. So I live in California. If there's a disastrous earthquake or famine or any kind of natural disaster we can have, obviously I need to get out of Dodge and get somewhere safe. But our greatest fear, what if the country's invaded? Mm-hmm. And that's something that a lot of people kind of scoff at. But what I've been seeing going on in the world for the last 2 years, I see it as a very high possibility.
And it could happen overnight.
It could, and that's the thing. If it's done right, and looking at the enemy that I think we'll have, it will be done right. We won't know it's coming, and it'll happen in an instant.
And so the book, it's fiction, right? But the way it plays out in your life experiences are more nonfiction.
A lot of questions I'm getting from reviewers are, is this really fiction, or do you know something we don't know? And that's the thing. I use a lot of my experience in the worlds of intelligence, geopolitics, how invasions actually happen, how wars happen, what happens. Think of Red Dawn, but written by an actual Green Beret. It's got a lot of my real life experience and our real life pacts that kind of go into this and make it so intriguing.
So tell us a little bit about the series.
So it's a 3-part series. This is the first part where it's mainly the initial invasion. So the whole timeline of the book takes place in about a month. So the first, the introduction is called 0 Hour, right? So it's when it actually happens. So it starts off, it's based even in my own real life, right? I left the Army to go to med school. I found out we were pregnant soon after and had to decide between family and med school, and I chose family and went another path. But this kind of picks up as me being a doctor at UCLA. All of a sudden, internet goes out. Okay. Phone line goes out. Okay. Electricity goes out, right? So you're at one of these major hospitals that's so big it has its own power generators, or its own power station, its own power supply. All of a sudden, everything gets cut. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of one of these protocols that we know. If somebody's going to invade the U.S., it's not World War II. You can't just sail ships and fly planes with nobody knowing. But if you cut down the communications grid, so our radios go down, if you cut down the power grid so they can't recall the National Guard and we don't have any kind of alarm systems anymore, you can roll right in. Mm-hmm. That's people don't understand our National Guard still needs a phone call to get recalled. Because of the Posse Comitatus Act, if they're not recalled, regular uniformed military cannot fight on the United States, within the United States borders. So that's a big part of this, is that we're kind of left defenseless. And they know that. We know that China and Russia have been trying to hack into our energy grid for about 10 years. They were doing this when I was on active duty. And it's open source information now. We know they're doing this. So it's not a big stretch to think in the last 5 years since I got out, they finally figured out a way in.
Mm-hmm. And they probably haven't told us, so that happens. And that's all portrayed in this book. And then you all go to Colorado.
Yep.
And now, are there other packs? And where are those packs at? I would assume Texas?
Yeah, so I grew up in Texas, and I really had to incorporate some of my upbringing in there. There are a lot of military units in Texas, so it was just a natural progression that kind of becomes the headquarters of the resistance. So at the end of book 1, we spend most of our time in Colorado, pretty in depth about how we've set things up, because not only is it a fictional account that I want to be entertaining, but I want people to learn from it. If you're the kind of person that this is something that bothers you and keeps you up at night like it does me, here's some things you can do to get ready. Here's what we've done. Here's how a team of Green Berets with decades of experience between them are preparing just in case. Yeah. So it's very detailed about here's what you should do and how you should set it up. So at the end, make our way kind of back home and we start getting together. Book 2 is going to take part on a national level. So it turns out we're not the only teams that are doing this. So that's kind of where we all set it up from.
You're not the only pack. And then book 3?
Book 3, we're going to take the fight to the enemy.
Like it. Yeah. Like we've done for our entire 2 centuries?
Yeah. Well, and that's a big part of Special Forces history. And I wanted to incorporate a lot of that also. Special Forces came from the OSS, the Office of Strategic Services. After World War II, they split into the CIA, Special Forces. The Special Forces unit was 10th Special Forces Group, my alma mater, 110 actually in Germany was the first special operations unit ever created. Yeah. So that's kind of goes back to some history, and we play a lot back there, but link up with some other special operations units from around the globe that I've fought with in other countries. So I know a lot of these guys and how they operate. Yeah. So it's just, it's fiction, but there's a lot of my experience in there.
I'll say a little commentary.
Yeah.
A little commentary, and that is, I'd rather fight the war there than here.
I would too, and that's why we fight so hard over there. A lot of Special Forces guys are just honestly loving family men that understand, like, we would rather put ourselves before let another American be in harm's way. Mm-hmm. If you've seen American Sniper, I love that. That's because it really hit the nail on the head where we feel guilty being back home. Because there's other Americans in harm's way over there, and we feel like it's our job to step in front of those bullets and protect everyone else.
And Chris Kyle is a true American, loved his country, and those that have criticized him, unfortunately, realized that he was doing it to protect our way of life.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. And an amazing man. It's real sad on what's happened to him. And so many of your other brothers and sisters that supported you back home, if you will.
Yeah, it's a shame, so we have these, they're called Heroes Bracelets. This is about the 12th one that I've had, from buddies I've lost before they're in their 40s. Yeah. That's a shame. A lot of them are fathers. They're all dedicated patriots, but they paid the final price, and they're very happy to have gone doing what they loved and serving a country that they put above everything else. So,
well, thank you for what you did. Yeah.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, The Pact by Robert Patrick Lewis. Thank you very much. And to all your brothers out there, tell them thank you for us.
I will.
Yes. Well, I hope you enjoyed this edition of Out of the Rough. If you'd like to watch us online, go to scvtv.com or fredarnold.com. If you have questions or would like to suggest a great guest, such as a patriot, such a great patriot as Mr. Lewis, email me, fred@fredarnold.com. I hope this information gets you out of the rough and into success. Until we speak again, make it a great day. Bye-bye.